Let's return now to the budget 2024. Joining me now is well-known economics watcher. We talk to him a lot on this program, normally from Washington. He's here in Canberra today. I'm delighted to say he's Professor of Economics at George Washington University. Stephen Hamilton, nice to see you in person.
Yeah, you too, Kieran.
We've got the budget tomorrow. And what a way to go into it with this divergence between what the RBA is saying on the one hand when it comes to inflation and what the government's released today on what the Treasury numbers are. What do you make of that?
I think we have to wait for the detail, right? We don't exactly know where that divergence has come from, so I'm looking forward to asking tomorrow why it is. There's going to be two parts. First is, it's not always the case that the forecasts of Treasury and RBA are the same, right? Forecasts are inherently uncertain. They involve judgment. They're about how we think inflation is going to evolve over time, and it's totally reasonable that two teams will come up with different numbers. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is how much of it is this energy subsidy effect, right? So since the RBA forecasts were locked in, we've had state governments doing energy subsidies. Obviously, the budget we think might have some more energy subsidies in it. And so to what degree are those kind of subsidies mechanically bringing down inflation in the short term? And we'll just have to wait till tomorrow to see what the deal is.
Because you got those things like, as you say, the energy subsidies, the rental assistance, they bring down measured inflation.
Yes.
The only other way governments can, when you think about it, it's not just money where you might subsidise and bring down a price, but it's also, say, increasing tax is another option, but it's hard to see the government doing that either.
Yeah, so I think we want to be careful, right? I mean, of course, an energy subsidy reduces the price level because it makes energy cheaper, right? So when it comes in, price level goes down, great. But when the energy subsidy stops, price level goes back up again, right? So to say an energy subsidy is disinflationary, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? I mean, what it does is for a short period of time, it reduces the price level and then it goes back to normal. But the thing that you need to keep in your mind is while it's on, it's putting money into people's pockets. Right, and there's no doubt, I haven't spoken to a single economist who disagrees with the basic notion that ultimately these are kind of inflationary. They push up demand, they put money in people's pockets, they kind of work against the RBA. And so, that's what I'm going to be looking for on Tuesday. How much in total is the government pumping into the economy and working against the RBA?
And you see that in terms of the number the government's released today, because in the 25-26 year, inflation goes back up after falling into the target band.
Yes.
It's still in the target band, but higher when those subsidies are removed.
Exactly. And again, the other thing I would make a point here to say is that, Treasury, in my understanding, is that Treasury thinks of these things as kind of mechanical, right? A subsidy comes in, the price level goes down, subsidy comes off, price level goes back up again. They're not modelling that kind of demand impact. So my guess is these numbers are probably a little bit optimistic, right? And the RBA, I think, is thinking more about those secondary, round demand impacts.
But on the tax front, as I mentioned to you, we've got the big tax cuts coming in.
Yes.
But if the government were to take more money out of the economy via tax, there just doesn't seem to be the options at play here.
Yeah.
When you look at the difference between what the Treasury and RBA is saying, is that a huge amount, these forecasts, when it comes to inflation?
No, I mean, it's meaningful, but it's not massive, right? And again, they're forecasts. So I'm not sure economists have forecast 7 of the last 5 recessions, right? So, so anybody's guess. But here's what I would say. I think stage 3 tax cuts are pretty massive. We're talking $24 billion in the coming year alone, which is the same cash flow impact on households as 4 interest rate reductions. 4.
It is huge,
Huge amount.
So are there other tax rises that can go up, say business taxes?
I mean, what I would have liked to have seen, so previous governments, this goes back to Rudd, Gillard, Abbott, all of them, they used to have a process where they offset new spending. If a cabinet minister came to ERC and said, I want to spend money on this, they also had to bring a save.
Yeah.
So that on net, we didn't make the deficit worse. And it seems that's out of the window. Right, and so over the last 2 budgets, we've seen current year spending go up by $12 billion with really no offset. That's new spending. And so I think, when you look at the tax cuts, when you look at all of these new measures that haven't been offset, overall, I think it's pretty clear that the budget is putting upward pressure on inflation and interest rates.
So as we look at it, and I obviously look at it from the political timeline, with an election 12 months away, almost to the day we were expecting, probably another budget in March of next year, and the government just hoping that we might see some rate reductions in the meantime. What are the chances of that?
It's always possible, but here's the way I would think of it. The RBA is doing as little as they possibly can do, not to kind of raise rates and not to reduce inflation. So my guess is all of the uncertainty is that inflation will be higher than we expect and interest rates will stay higher for longer than we expect. The chance that they're actually going too hard, I think, is very small, right? So that says to me that it would take a lot for them to start reducing interest rates even by mid next year.
Because you wouldn't want to go too early and then whip it all up again.
And it's basically an even money bet that they'll raise interest rates over the next few months as not, right? So it may not even be done yet, right? It could go up further from here.
Professor Hamilton, great to chat.
Yeah.
Nice to see you in Canberra.
Cheers, mate.